I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We have a big agenda tonight. We'll start with public comment. Do we have anyone for public comment tonight, Erica?
Mr. Dents, should we take roll first?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Rocco.
Mr. Galloway.
Here.
Mr. Palmer.
Here.
Mr. Dents.
Yes.
Mr. Baratsky.
Here.
And I'm here. Two of you guys off with the sort order there, huh?
Erica, do we have anyone for public comment?
Yes, we have one public comment. I'll bring Tony in right now. And Tony's in the room with us now.
Hello, Tony.
Hi. I really actually didn't have public comment, but while I am here, thank you for the work that you did on the Vermilion playground. It's really great. My grandkids enjoyed it. That's all I have.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Really actually didn't have comment.
What in the world? All right, item number 2, Bum Holdings LLC. If you can bring them in, Erica.
Yes, I will bring them in right now.
Good evening, guys. I'm Ed Murphy. I'm here tonight with our client as well as Justin Giannotti, the project engineer, to give everyone an update on the status of our plan. We had previously shared a week ago or so with the staff a revised plan that shows a different point of access for vehicles leaving our proposed parking lot and making a left on Cabot Boulevard West. I don't know if you want to see the plan, or the staff, as I presume, shared it with you, but the point of tonight was simply to confirm that this revision to the principal access point would be acceptable, so that we would engineer the plan and then come back in front of you next month with the formal plan for you to consider. So that's where we are tonight. Justin is here. He can go through the plan if you'd like.
I think we should bring the plan up just for the people at home.
If I could, Mr. Dents,
Go ahead.
as you recall, this was plan went to the Planning Commission a few months back. Planning Commission had some concerns regarding the access into and out of the property. Following that meeting, Mr. Murphy reached out to myself, Mr. Takita, Joe Jones, to talk about the issues that the Planning Commission had raised, and also to discuss some potential alternatives. Those discussions yielded this alternative plan, but they're not, as of yet, we don't have fully engineered plans. So the purpose of tonight was for Mr. Murphy and his clients to give you sort of a little bit of an overview of what the revised plan would look like. And if the board is comfortable with it, then the applicant will submit all of the revised plans, and they'll be back on the agenda for June for preliminary and final. So
Right.
Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea for Mr. Giannotti to throw the plan up on the screen and show the revisions so the board and the public can see what changes have been made.
Sure. Sharing my screen right now. All right, so is everyone looking at the aerial plan in front of you now? With it shows the property in question, which is the parking lot. This is the original plan that we submitted. About 81 parking spaces proposed on a lot that's being used for this right now, which is really an extension of this. And this parking lot is going to be serving the adjacent Amazon facility located next door. Just high level, the Planning Commission's main concern was that all vans exiting this parking lot would have to turn onto Oxford Valley Road and then make a left onto Cabot Boulevard West. The concern was the visibility and the sight distance available at this intersection, which is off our property. We're limited on what we were able to improve by way of sight distance and circulation. So as Mr. Clark mentioned, there was discussions after the fact. We then talked to the adjacent property owner who owns a 10-foot strip behind our property that, landlocks us from Cabot Boulevard. We were able to obtain an easement from them to allow us to take access directly onto Cabot Boulevard West. The proposed one-way driveway will take access directly across from, and I'll switch to the aerial plan so you guys can see it. We'll take access directly on the Cabot Boulevard West. It will line up with a driveway directly across the street. Vans exiting this parking lot, I should say vans will be forced to exit the parking lot through this driveway, make a left on the Cabot Boulevard West, and then turn into the Amazon facility where they will, do what they need to do, whether it's unloading, loading, or just or accessing the warehouse facility. No vehicles will then have to make that hard left onto Cabot Boulevard West. They'll then come back onto Cabot Boulevard, and Cabot Boulevard, one more thing to mention, is a closed loop. This is just an industrial road. It comes down and there's a cul-de-sac and turns around. So it's limited access when it comes to traffic. And that's really it. As far as our engineering plans, it was noted that we're here tonight to get your conceptual approval on this change. The engineering of the plans is not going to be much different. We've already had a review from Mr. Jones. Engineering comments were all will comply, stormwater works, everything from an engineering standpoint works. It's really just going to be a matter of grading in the new driveway to Cabot Boulevard West and making the necessary plan changes. But as far as a technical standpoint, we comply with, or will comply with, all the engineering aspects of the plan. So this is a minor change now that we have access from the adjoining property owner via an easement. So happy to take any questions you guys may have at this point.
I'll go first. The little bit of parcel between where all them vans are staged, they're stacked, and that future parking lot, you guys can't do nothing right there to keep the vans on the property? It just seems like they're gonna pull out of that driveway one way, go around there's not even, looks like there's a little curb cut. I can't see it now because it says Cabot Boulevard West, but is there an island there? They have to make a left, go around the island and make a left down the,
Right.
Is there an island right there where you're just marked or no?
Right here? No,
Yeah.
no, that was already removed. So when they put this driveway in recently, this is a
Right.
driveway on Middletown side, but when they put that
Yeah.
driveway in, this island was removed. So there's enough of an area for trucks to exit, stage in the center drive aisle, and then turn into our parking lot without there being an issue there.
Like I'm not a traffic engineer. I just looking at this, I mean, that looks like a logistical nightmare that these vans are going to make a left on the oncoming traffic and swing in real quick.
And we'll obviously we're going to have control over that parking lot. We'll sign it accordingly, and we'll make sure that they abide by the rules of the road as much as we can. But we do understand that concern. We'll make sure that's addressed properly with your traffic engineer.
I mean, the safety of that is my only concern. You know, I mean, I've been down there. I've done some work down there. I know that can get busy, and all them Amazon vans make it a mess, but again, if it's, if the traffic engineer and the traffic studies show that it works, I guess I'm okay. But those are my concerns that they're going to be, I would have rather have seen that driveway make a left before it hits Cabot Boulevard and stay on that property, on that parcel, and not even go near Cabot Boulevard. You know what I'm trying to say? Make a left before where it says Cabot Boulevard. If they can make a left there and stay in there, you'll stack all them vans will stack in your own from the parking lot right into your own staging area.
Understood. We did try that avenue, and we were denied that access. So so we did try that.
Okay, just my thoughts. Thanks.
Understood. Thank you, Jeff.
Mr. Rocco?
So was that, I apologize, but was that the original plan was to bring them in property to property, so not heading out on Cabot?
Correct. was your original plan. If we go back to the original plan that we presented to the planning commission, was to take access where they have access, that is off of Old Oxford Valley Road. So vans leaving the site would have to go to the intersection of Old Oxford Valley Road and Cabot Boulevard, swing a left, and that left movement was the concern of the planning commission.
Jeff,
So,
or Justin, go back to the earlier aerial view to show Jeff exactly that movement again. That was the concern.
sure. So the movement was coming out of the parking lot, making a left on the Old Oxford Valley Road. And at this intersection here, vans would then have to swing a left here. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but there was a concern about sight distance with the trees and the elevation difference. So by providing vans a one-way access out of our site through the back onto Cabot Boulevard, we're mitigating that movement. There's no need for vans to make that movement. It's directly on the Cabot Boulevard, and then they stage and come in. So that's eliminating all those van trips from making that left movement. That was the concern.
Yeah, I think what Mr. Boraski, if I understood him correctly, he's saying, why not just cut a driveway at the top of the property there before Cabot Boulevard? So they don't have.
That requires cooperation from another property owner, Jeff, and right now we don't have it.
Understood, okay.
And just one follow-up question too, regarding Old Oxford Valley Road. What was the bigger issue, the site or repairing and widening Oxford Valley Road?
So it's widening Oxford Valley Road along our frontage is possible. It's just not going to solve the issue that the planning commission had, which was that turning movement at Cabot Boulevard, as I understand it.
I thought the planning commission's issue was more the condition of Oxford Valley Road currently. It wasn't?
No, I mean,
No.
we accepted widening along our frontage, but our frontage is only 150 feet. We don't have control over the rest of these properties to do any widening. The real concern was the traffic issue of having to make this turn. They were looking at other options that we could do, which we don't have access to that property. I mean, it's an existing intersection that's deficient right now. So we're looked at other avenues of coming out Cabot Boulevard West and just completely mitigating that movement.
Okay. Jeff, sorry, man. I just want to follow up with that.
No, that's good. All right, thank you for clarifying that.
Mr. Palmer?
Yeah, I'm going back to Jeff Boraski's comment. And I finally got, a little heads up on it when you're talking about the other property owners not giving you the right of way. Aren't you working for that property owner? I'm missing something here. You gave that answer very fast. We don't have an agreement to do an easement there, but you're actually contracted by this customer. I think you're working for him. Why wouldn't he give you access to his property?
The customer doesn't own the real estate, and that's the issue. You're right. We hope to serve the same customer, but the property owner who owns the adjacent property in Middletown has not been willing to date to give us an easement to create the movement that you guys had suggested and which we thought of before as being a logical one. But right now, that option is not available to us.
Did you partner up with Amazon to ask the property owner to work with you guys, or are you guys just doing this on your own?
No, we've had multiple conversations with the next door property owner about it.
With Amazon involved?
Not directly, no, but obviously the property owner next door is well aware of the intended ultimate user of our parking lot, and they are the same. You're correct about that. So, but so far, I mean, we continue to talk, but right now, that is not an option on the table for us. We have tried, yes, and we'll continue to try. I mean, obviously, it would make good sense if we can do it.
Yeah, because I really don't like either proposals at this point. I hear what Jeff said, based on a traffic study. I'll wait and see where that goes, but I travel that route quite often, and I see the vans now stacking up out there on Cabot trying to turn in, and it's like they take command of the road. It's like an army out there, and if I can keep them off the road, it would be best for public safety, I think. So I'm not in favor of that little chute going out the top and making a fast left. But let's see what the engineers say. If they're going to put a stamp on it, then they know a lot more than me, I guess.
Well, we don't have too many other choices, guys. I don't know what else you want us to do.
Mr. Galloway, do you have any questions or concerns?
I think I understand the issues. And I see you found I think you found your solution. It's a difficult one. You found it, and I have no opposition to it. So I hope it goes through, and I hope you achieve what you're looking for.
I agree. It's not the ideal situation, but it solves all the problems that the planning commission had. And I'll be okay with it if that's the only thing you have, the only option we have. Is there any public comment needed, Erica?
There's no public comment.
All right, Mr. Takita or anyone else have any comments?
No comments.
All right, so what are we doing now, Mike?
I don't think we're doing anything further. This was simply a discussion tonight. I think the applicant has gotten an opportunity to hear what some of the concerns are of the board and where the board is. And they will be back in June for a vote for preliminary and final.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. See you next month.
See you later.
All right. Item number 3, North Point Falls Township Industrial LLC, Building 1 minor subdivision. Mr. Clark, you want to take this?
This is Lauren.
Thank you. This is a site agreement that we worked with the applicant's attorney to put together. This will allow them to proceed with getting some of their site work done and pouring footers and foundation while they're waiting on certain approvals from DEP. And they understand that they will not get their use and occupancy permits until DEP is satisfied with everything.
That's it?
Yep, and they're indemnifying us so that if something goes wrong and DEP does not approve it and they have to rip it out, it is at their cost.
All right. Any questions from Ms. Gallagher or from board members? Mr. Boraski?
No questions. Seems simple. Thank you.
Is this
Mr.
like,
Rocco?
I have none. Seems like Presky said straightforward
Mr.
here.
Palmer?
I have none.
Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
All right. Is there any public comment needed, Erica?
There's no public comment.
All right. And this is a resolution 2021-14. Is there a motion?
Mr. Dents, or if I may, is Lauren, were you referring to item number 5?
No, I was on number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry, the item number 4, the indemnification agreement.
Oh, I apologize. Yes, I'm sorry. And Mike is here. So that's actually item number 4.
All right, well, let's just do that now then.
Sorry about that.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Dents.
Second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, that was item 4. Now we're back on number 3, the subdivision.
And Mr. McGinnis is here for that one.
I am. Thank you. Good evening. Mike McGinnis from Begley Carlin. I will keep this as brief as the board will allow me to. The board previously, as I'm sure you recall, approved the land development associated with Building 1. This is just a minor subdivision associated with that building. We're just here to formalize the subdivision process to make this its own lot, sectioned off from what we've been describing as the mother parcel. There's no change to North Point's intention to maintain control and ownership of the property. I just wanted to be clear about that. And the 2 waivers that we're requesting, 191-52.1C2 regarding natural resource protection calculations. We provided those in detail with the land development plan for the building. And then 191-79C3 with respect to natural resource mapping. Again, those existing features were depicted with the Building 1 land development plan set. So those are the 2 partial waivers. It's just a minor subdivision. If the board would like to hear from anyone on North Point's end, I do have Jeremy Michael here, and Eric Clace is here from Gilmore and Associates.
Any questions from board members? Mr. Boraski,
No questions.
Mr. Rocco,
No questions.
Mr. Palmer,
No question.
Mr. Galloway.
No questions.
All right, Mr. Jones, do you have any comments?
No comments at this time.
Well, that was easy. Is there any public comment needed for this, Erica?
There's no public comment.
And this is resolution 2021-14. Is there a motion?
So I make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. All right, that was easy.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Item number 5, Mr. Takita, do you want to take this one or Lauren again?
Lauren?
Certainly. So this is a property located in the township that's next to township property. There is an existing pool on the property, and some of the decking and some of the fencing is encroaching on township property. So this is a license agreement that will permit the decking and fencing to remain in place, but will require the property owner to comply with all the underlying zoning, so they won't be able to use that section of property to meet setbacks or impervious coverage requirements. And it also maintains that the property is the township's property.
Any questions for Ms. Gallagher or Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
Mr. Rocco,
No questions.
Mr. Palmer,
No question.
Mr. Galloway?
No question.
I have none. This is pretty straightforward. Is there any public comment needed, Erica?
No public comment.
All right, is there a motion?
I make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, item number 6 is an employment agreement between Falls Township and Lieutenant Henry Ward. Lieutenant Ward has been working without a contract for, I guess, since before we settled the last agreement with the police department. So this includes retro pay and stuff, right? Ms. Gallagher or Mr. Takita, you can, any
That's
highlights that
correct.
we need to discuss? It's pretty straightforward.
The agreement essentially mirrors the agreement that Lieutenant Ward has had in place since he's been a lieutenant. There are some minor language changes that were also present in Lieutenant Pleddick's agreement.
Any questions for Ms. Gallagher on this agreement, Mr. Boraski,
No questions.
Mr. Rocco,
I have none.
Mr. Palmer,
None.
Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
And I have none. Is there any public comment needed, Erica?
No public comment.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, item 7, consider ratifying approval of health benefit program rate renewal. Who's this? Mr. Takita, this one?
Yes, before you have, it's considering ratifying the approval of the health benefits program rate renewal. If you look at the pack that we received, the estimated annual percent change is 2%. This would, the 2% comes from an abatement, a $31,000 abatement we will receive in July. It's a credit that they found for us. This 2% increase is the lowest increase we've seen in a number of years.
All right, any questions for Mr. Takita, Mr. Palmer? I'm sorry.
No, I'm pleased with the rate that we got, so no question.
Mr. Galloway,
No questions.
Mr. Rocco,
I have none.
Mr. Boraski.
No, thank you.
All right, is there any public comment needed, Erica?
There's no public comment.
Is there a motion then?
I make that motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded. Can you poll the board, Mr. Rocco?
Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dents,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
All right, item 8, consider awarding township insurance policy for the period of June 18th, 2021 through June 18th, 2022. This is for property, general liability, and public liability. Mr. Takita again.
The board is being asked to consider approval of the liability insurance coverage our broker, Christine Vaughn, they had two different carriers present to us, and they are recommending we make a transition to Argonaut. We're currently using Travelers. The reason for this shift is that Argonaut is providing equivalent or in some cases increased coverage. They're also providing lower deductibles on major liability lines, and the cost difference between the two policies is approximately $26,000 in Argonaut's favor. Based on that and a number of other items that are in their packet, they are recommending we move with Argonaut.
Any questions on this, Mr. Boraski,
No questions.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes. So what is the total for the premium? 242,163.
Yes.
You think that's it?
There is also separate cyber liability policy from BCS. This policy is incorporated into the overall cost that you're seeing there, but I did want to make sure I pointed that out. And BCS's policy has much greater coverage than Travelers was going to provide for us.
Okay, great. No, I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Mr. Palmer?
I'm good, happy with it.
Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
All right, is there any public comment needed, Erica?
No public comment.
All right, is there a motion then?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Rocco, can you pull the board?
Mr. Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dents,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
I'm a yes.
All right. Item number 9, to consider amending the 2021 fee schedule. This is basically for recycling cans.
That's correct. And this is a pass-through cost to the township. So for a 22-gallon can, it's increasing to $16 per can. And I believe the 32-gallon cans are no longer available. So those are being deleted from the fee schedule.
And this is done by resolution.
Correct.
That seems weird. All right, any questions from Ms. Gallagher, Mr. Boraski,
No, thank you.
Mr. Rocco,
None.
Mr. Palmer? Mr. Palmer, any questions?
No, I said none.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Right. All right, so it's resolution 2021-15. Is there a motion?
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 10, consider notice of intent to award the bid for the 2021 Falls Township Road Improvement Program, Elderberry Drive. Mr. Jones?
Can we back up 1 second? Did I miss something? I thought that was done by resolution. Did we do that right? Okay, we're
Yeah.
good. Okay,
Yeah. Yep.
all right. Sorry, Mr. Dents.
That's all right. Gotta keep me in check. Where was I?
Item number
Oh, item number 10.
10.
Yeah,
10.
the Road Improvement Program on Elderberry Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have before you our request for authorization to issue what we call a notice of intent to award for the 2021 construction project, which, as you mentioned, is Elderberry Drive. We opened bids on Friday with 2 bidders out of 4 plan holders, and the bid results are tabulated before you. The low bidder is General Asphalt Paving Company for $3,197,176.26. I'll note that that is over $1 million under budget. So good news on that. There's a fairly significant disparity between them and Morrissey. Those are the 2 contractors who typically bid the jobs. I talked to both contractors, and you'll see in the bid evaluation that it kind of beat them on every line item. There's no outliers or anything to cause any concern. General Asphalt is comfortable with their number, and I spoke with Morrissey, and they said they just beat us on this one. So we're asking the board to authorize us to issue that notice of intent, which will start the 30-day responsible contractor review period per our responsible contractor ordinance. And so we'll be ready to issue that determination on or about June 15th.
Any questions from Mr. Jones? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Palmer?
No, but it's good news it was way under budget.
Mr. Rocco,
No, I have none.
Mr. Boraski.
Joe, just one thing to note, General has been in the township for quite a few years now, right? Their number seems to be always good and
Yep.
have done nice work for us.
They have, and they certainly know the drill. They've become
Yeah.
pretty good at this. Yep.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yes, we're required by law to issue to the lowest bidder, so we don't get to pick and choose really, but they do a good job for us. And $1 million in their budgets, that's pretty significant. So nice job by you, Mr. Jones. Is
Thank
there a motion then to approve?
Make the motion.
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Rocco, can you poll the board, please?
Mr. Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dents,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
I'm a yes.
All right, item 11. Consider finalizing the award for the bid, the 2021 Falls Township Road Improvement Program, Elderberry Drive. Isn't that what we just did?
This, Mr. Chairman, this is just to authorize the manager to finalize the award because our responsible contractor review period will be over before the next Board of Supervisors meeting. And so he would have the authority to finalize the bid pending the outcome of that responsible contractor determination a day or two before the meeting, which means we can get started soon.
All right. Any questions on that from anyone? Mr. Boraski, Rocco,
No, none.
Palmer?
No.
Mr. Galloway?
None.
All right, is there a motion then?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Sorry. Item 13, consider proposal from Remington and Vernick Engineers to provide field survey location services associated with GIS sanitary, water, and stormwater utility infrastructure mapping, phase 1.
Mr. Dance, if I may, you skipped item number 12.
Oh, I did? I apologize. All that reading and I skipped it. Consider proposal from Jones Engineering Associates for professional and construction administrative services for the 2021 Falls Township Road Improvement Program. This is basically authorizing Jones to manage the project as usual. Right, Mr. Jones?
Correct, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Any questions? Mr. Boraski,
No questions.
Mr. Rocco,
I have none.
Mr. Palmer?
None.
Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
All right, now I have no questions. I assume there's no public comment needed, right, Erica?
There's no public comment.
Is there a motion then for item 13?
I'll make that motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, that was item 12. Item 13 again. This is the proposal from RVB, Remington Vernick Engineers to provide field survey location services associated with GIS sanitary, water, and stormwater utility infrastructure mapping. Mr. Takita, do you want to take us through this real quick? Can I explain what we're doing?
So you have before you a proposal for field surveying for our GIS system. This is necessary in order to complete our base mapping. We did review the proposal. The proposal is sound. The only concern we had at any point was how they were going to develop their GIS database. But looking at what they have, it should drop right into our current base mapping. So we do not have any concerns regarding this. The total fee is a not to exceed number in the amount of $60,000, and this money was budgeted in our GIS budget.
All right, and I see Chris Fazio is here. I apologize, Mr. Fazio. I didn't notice you down there. Any questions for Mr. Fazio or Mr. Takita and Mr. Boraski?
No, thank you.
Mr. Rocco?
No.
Mr. Palmer?
No, our present equipment works with this program. I think we purchased some and we have it in our trucks now.
The new equipment, yes, they're going to implement this right into it. That's what he was saying. It's going to fall right in.
Excellent, thank you.
Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
And I have none. Is there any public comment needed, Erica?
There's no public comment.
All right, is there a motion to approve this not to exceed number of $60,000?
So moved.
Second that.
All right, motion made and seconded. Mr. Rocco, can you poll the board, please?
Mr. Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dents,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
I'm a yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have a good evening.
You as well.
See you later, Chris.
Item 14. Consider adopting the repealing of ordinance 2017-4 and reinstating chapter A214 cable television franchise at section 36 subscriber list. Ms. Gallagher, I assume, or Mr. Clark?
Yeah, Mr. Dents, as you recall from the fact that this is ordinance 2017, this was an ordinance that was adopted 4 years ago by only a handful of municipalities. One of them was Falls, one of them was Lower Makefield Township. And it related to the dissemination of information by Verizon or any other cable carrier who were within the township. It was a practice that Verizon has indicated they have never engaged in. And in fact, in many of the franchise agreements they enter into, they indicate that they don't engage in this practice. When Falls adopted this ordinance, it prevented Verizon and Falls from entering into a new updated franchise agreement because Verizon would not essentially, because of the passing of this ordinance, would not negotiate with the township because their position was this was outside of their standard agreement. This is not anything that has ever come into play. And shortly after we adopted this, the board considered repealing it. And then it just kind of fell off the radar and nothing ever happened with it. Within the last couple of months, Verizon has come back and has asked to reconsider repealing this ordinance. So essentially, I think this was an attempt to prevent something that wasn't really occurring and that Verizon does not do. And it's just creating some confusion with trying to get new agreements done with Verizon. So we're comfortable with it being repealed.
All right, thank you for that very long, drawn-out explanation. Is there any questions for Mr. Clark from board members? Mr. Boraski?
No questions. Thank you.
Mr. Rocco?
Yeah, I missed that. Can you,
Yeah, I'll have it on videotape later, Jeff.
no, I'm good. Thanks.
Mr. Palmer?
No question.
Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
And I have none. Is there a motion to, I guess, approve ordinance 2021-6?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, I won't be calling on Mr. Clark again.
Actually, Mr. Clark,
Item 16, consider authorizing for advertisement amending ordinance chapter 203 parking regulations.
We should be on 15 now, right?
15.
Mr. Dents, the ordinance number is 2021-5.
I apologize. I'm ahead of myself again. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2021-5?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's what I get from giving Mike a hard time. Item 15, consider adopting ordinance amending its effective date of the non-uniform pension plan administered by the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System pursuant to Article 4 of the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement Law, agreeing to be bound by all provisions of the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement Law as amended and as applicable to member municipalities. Ms. Gallagher, can you give that to normal people talk so we all understand what this is?
Certainly. This ordinance will amend the township's pension ordinance in two respects. The first is that it will set an effective date for the new PMRS plan of January 1st, 2021. And the second is that it will create a 3-year vesting period for all employees.
Okay, are there any questions for Ms. Gallagher, Mr. Boraski,
No, thank you.
Mr. Rocco,
None.
Mr. Palmer,
None.
Mr. Galloway?
No question.
Is there any public comment needed, Erica?
No public comment.
All right, this will be ordinance 2021-6, item 15. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, item 16. This is a parking amendment, right? This is Lincoln Circle.
Lincoln Circle and Cedar Lane, and it creates no parking zones on both.
All right, any questions on this from board members? Mr. Boraski,
No questions.
Mr. Rocco?
No.
Mr. Palmer,
Question.
and Mr. Galloway.
No questions.
All right, is there a motion to advertise this amendment?
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? None? Okay. Item 16, consider authorization for advertisement amending ordinance chapter 153 massage establishments. Can you explain this one to us, Ms. Gallagher?
Certainly, we've been working with the code department and the police department to create this ordinance. It's modeled after some ordinances that were also enacted locally and in consultation with the Bucks County District Attorney's Office. What this does is it creates a requirement that establishments that offer massage services within the township register with the township and provide some information to the code department, which then will be subject to verification. It also requires the licensing of alternative massage therapists, and again, requires the registration for alternative massage establishments within the township.
Do we have businesses like this? Is this necessary? What exactly is this?
That I will ask, I think Chief Whitney's on the line. He can answer some of those questions.
So yeah, what this is about is human trafficking. So the district attorney's office has been pushing to increase awareness about this. This is to allow us to discourage businesses from engaging in human trafficking inside our community, and allows us to detect it, to try to discourage that. And yes, we've made cases with massage parlors here in the past. I know Lower Makefield had a human trafficking case with a restaurant in the last 2 years. So, this is something clearly we don't want in Falls Township, and this ordinance will help us both discourage businesses from coming into town who are engaging in that kind of activity, and allow us, if there are some that are already here, to detect that and take appropriate action.
Understood. I misunderstood what kind of massage facilities we were talking about. Any questions for Chief Whitney or Lauren from board members? Mr. Boraski,
No questions.
Mr. Galloway,
No questions.
Mr. Palmer,
Yeah, I have a question. Why does it end just with massage? Why not restaurants and retail and construction and everything else? Why is it just massage?
Well, in this particular case, the ordinance is modeled after some similar ordinances that have been enacted by some of the towns around us. That doesn't mean we can't enact different ordinances in the future, but we're just kind of following suit with what's been done already, so that we're, keeping pace with the efforts that are being done in Bucks County.
any other questions, Mr. Boraski? Can I go out of order already? I have no questions. We're just advertising. So is there a motion to advertise?
I make that motion.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, that takes us to the minutes from April 19th. Any corrections or anything like that? Excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen. I know this can't be easy doing this virtually. If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, that brings us to the engineer's report. Mr. Jones, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. The engineer's report for the month of April shows that there were 4 new land development applications submitted, 7 earth disturbance applications, 3 cell tower co-location antenna applications, and 1 floodplain permit applications. As typical, the highlights are noted in red. I'll touch on a few of them and be brief. The M&M Metals project, they're requesting a TCO. So that project is nearing completion for one of the buildings. I believe it's the aluminum building. And all the site work is substantially complete. and they're isolating their construction efforts onto the second building. The Patrici track building's up, site work continues. The KA at Fairless Hills project, as you'll recall, that was the Wawa on Lincoln Highway. They submitted a plan with a drive-through lane. They've subsequently submitted a new plan without the drive-through lane, and that project will be before the Planning Commission next week, as well as the subdivision for North Point, where they're going to just carve out all of the lease parcels are going to be separate lots. The other two North Point buildings that were submitted, building 2 and 3, they will be before the Planning Commission in June. In terms of the earth disturbances, the Dollar General issue has been finally closed out. The basin is now functioning. We will, however, continue to monitor that. And all of the pools that are identified in red were submitted last month, and they will be either approved or review letters issued tomorrow. In terms of the road program, the 2020 road program, we are now working substantially in the Burgess Manor section. It started today, and the contractor expects to be out of there 45 to 60 days. In terms of the ongoing road program project, we spoke about Elderberry Drive tonight, and our office continues to prepare the base mapping as it comes from our surveyor for the next road, which is Pinewood Drive, scheduled for next year. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. Any questions from Mr. Jones from board members? Mr. Galloway,
No questions.
Mr. Palmer,
No question.
Mr. Rocco?
Yeah, Mr. Jones, did you say Wawa's pulling the drive-through?
Yes, they had 5 sites identified for the drive-through, and they call them bolt-ons. And I was told by their engineer that they wanted to discontinue 3 of the 5 new ones, and this made the cut for being discontinued, probably because they have a drive-through down on Pine Grove Road. So I think Wawa is trying to figure out how to do that right, but they do, the fueling station and the superstore well enough, so they want to move forward with that plan.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that because I didn't like the way that was set up. So it's cool. Thank you.
We like the plan better.
Mr. Boraski?
Sorry, I have nothing.
And I have nothing. Is there any public comment needed, Erica?
There's no public comment.
Is there a motion to accept the engineer's report as presented?
I make that motion.
Second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 And none opposed. All right, that takes us to the bill list, item number 20. This week we have $2,601,804.68. About 1.5 million is payroll. $500,000, over $500,000 almost, going to the township fire companies, the Fallston Library, the rescue squads, and then $15,000 for landscaping and chemical treating of lawns on township property. Are there any questions or comments from board members on the bill list? Mr. Boraski,
No questions.
Mr. Rocco,
No.
Palmer?
No.
Mr. Galloway.
No questions.
All right, is there any public comment needed, Erica?
No public comment.
Is there a motion to accept the bill list as presented in the amount of $2,601,804.68?
I make that motion.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Rocco, can you pull the board, please?
Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dents,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
yes.
All right, that takes us to item 21. Ms. Gallagher, can you comment on our executive session?
Certainly, Mr. Dents. The board met earlier in executive session to discuss several matters of potential litigation and litigation, and one item of personnel.
Thank you. That takes us to the police report. Chief Whitney, you're up.
Thank you. I think that would have been quicker. I had plenty of time there. All right, so looking back at April, we were at minimum staffing 55% of the time. That's up from March. And then I have some comparative years going back. I didn't include 2016 on this, but in 2016, when our deployment was different, we're actually minimum staffing 78% of the time. So, it's important for us to look at these numbers to try to manage them as best we can with the people that we have. There's always a lot of different factors that go into why our staffing dips down. It could be that officers are in training. In April, we had 2 supervisors who were in acting positions, so that took them off their squads. Times we have people reassigned to do different duties. Like I've got an officer on modified duty that actually doesn't work on her regular shift, but works during the week and still takes calls and contributes to the mission. So there's always, different factors that go into that, but we're always trying to figure out if there's a way we can change our deployment to increase our staffing level, then we will. And we have in the past. So that's where we were in April. And that's the breakdown by squad. Just a reminder about our goals and objectives regarding staffing. And, why is this relevant? Well, to maintain, to sustain our proactive efforts, we need to be above minimum staffing. When we're at min staffing, we tend to just run call to call. So, we want to be able to be proactive out there in the community and solve problems before they become calls for service. And that is all dependent upon staffing. Drug overdoses, we had 7 in the month of April. I did make a change to this, so it's important for us to be accurate with our recording. We don't cause, or rather determine the cause of death. That's the province of the coroner's office. Although this shows no fatal overdoses for the year, there are 7 that are pending that we believe are going to be fatal overdoses. We're waiting for the final report back from the coroner's office. So those numbers are going to shift a little as we go through the year and we get information back from the Bucks County coroner's office. So we believe that out of the 25 overdoses we had by the end of April, that 7 of those are going to be fatal overdoses once we get that information back from the coroner's office. Calls for service, over 1,600 for the month of April. That brings us up to 6,400 so far this year by the end of April. Busy month. Traffic crashes, 77 during the month of April. Arrests, 56 arrests during the month of April, 25 of which were drug arrests. And again, if I haven't mentioned it recently, that pending category are arrests that are waiting typically for lab results to come back. Hotels and motels. So the Residence Inn seems to have rated. I actually have a meeting with their manager tomorrow to kind of talk about a couple of different issues there, but they seem to be gaining control of what's happening with our help. The red roof continues to be a problem area for us. A little bit of a spike in the Sheraton. They had some guests that were unruly and refused to leave. That seemed to happen more frequently in April than it had prior, but they continue to do a good job in managing their facility. And just some other notable incidents right after our meeting last month. We had a gunpoint robbery at Nolan Park Apartments. The vehicle that was involved was identified. Trenton PD engaged in a pursuit with it. New Jersey State Police then picked it up. They actually pursued this car for more than an hour until it crashed. The person was taken into custody, admitted to our robbery, and was sent to a hospital in New Jersey. Charges are pending in that case. We had a shooting at Castle Club Apartments. We believe it was an exchange of gunfire at the door. The person that was shot really didn't cooperate very much with us, but charges are pending in that case. The same day, it was a busy night shift. Our officers had a pursuit with a vehicle after a retail theft at Dick's. The car ended up in efforts to evade us, fleeing the wrong way on Route 13, at which time our officers broke it off. On May 8th, we had an officer assaulted by a man who was drunk at the Commons of Fallsington apartment complex. He made an attempt, kind of a half-hearted attempt, to take the officer's gun. When he was taken into custody, he ended up being able to kick one of our officers in the face. The officer was not seriously injured, but it's just kind of another indication of the level of violence out there in the community. Next day, we had a pursuit on Route 1. The vehicle was involved in a retail theft out of Ben Salem. Again, due to the driving behavior of the individual, we terminated the pursuit. And last night, we had a gunpoint robbery at Lakeview Terrace Apartments that's under investigation. And though it didn't make it here, we did have a tragic one vehicle crash earlier today where a young man was killed. I have a note here. We had several thefts, both vehicle thefts and theft from vehicles during the month of April. Two of our vehicle thefts were vehicles where the keys were left in the vehicle, parked overnight with the vehicle unlocked. I would encourage any of our citizens who watch our meeting tonight to please lock your vehicles at night. I've been doing this for 33 years in Falls Township, and for 33 years, people have been getting stuff stolen out of their vehicles simply because they leave them unlocked and leave valuables in them. It does happen every once in a while that somebody will break a window to get something if they could see it, but more often than not, people are trying vehicle doors at night. If your car's unlocked, they're going to go through your car, and if you left the keys in it, they're going to steal your car, and if you left something else in it of value, they're going to take it. So really simple thing. If you could lock your vehicle, that would help. And kind of to my point I just made a minute ago, we've seen several serious traffic crashes recently. I would encourage everybody who's watching. I know the community and the planet is stressed. We've all been through a rough, more than a year now. But this excessive speed and reckless driving, it's a tragedy to lose a human life in a car crash. It's a terrible thing for the people involved. And, just simply slowing down and obeying the traffic laws can literally save people's lives. It's senseless to lose human life in traffic crashes. So to our audience, our broader audience watching from home, please be more careful. And our Falls Township Supporting Recovery Program was pretty busy in April. 25 incidents were referred to our certified recovery specialists. Out of those 25, they were successful in making contact with 15 of them. 2 individuals were successfully placed in treatment. One graduated, and by the way, the one who graduated, we have had numerous contacts with since in the last 20 years, since 2000. Person really struggling. This was one of those things where when you saw the name we gave to our CRSs, like this is going to be a challenging case, and they were successful in placing this person into treatment, and the person graduated. The other person they placed last month is still in the program. So good things. We're making contact with people we wouldn't have had contact with otherwise, and this is an important program that really can get help to those who need it in the community when they struggle with substance use. And we had our drug take back event. We collected over 300 pounds of prescription medications. And Matt Weintraub told us the other day that Bucks County was again #1 in Pennsylvania for the most drugs collected out of all the counties in the state. So our township did a good job contributing to this mission here, and the county as a whole did a great job. And just to let you know, we hosted a training class last month called Street Academy in our partnership with the Bucks County Sheraton. Tomorrow, we're hosting another class on mastering Pennsylvania search and seizure. We have our officers attending these trainings as well as officers from surrounding municipalities. I think it's important for us to host training and be involved in training. There's nothing more important. All you have to do is watch TV for a week, and you'll see how important training is in law enforcement. I think it's important for us to be a local leader in hosting training and getting the word out. That we need to make that a priority in law enforcement. And that's my report.
Excellent report as always, Chief. Any questions from Chief Whitney on his report, Mr. Boraski?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Rocco? Mr. Rocco?
I have none. Thank you.
Thought you were going to do sign language there.
Yeah. I wasn't sure. Mr. Palmer?
None. Thank you.
And Mr. Galloway?
A great report. Thanks, Chief.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief Whitney.
Thank you.
That takes us to manager comment. Mr. Takita, you're up.
A couple of items before the board tonight. The township received a donation request from the American Legion for their Memorial Day ceremony. The township included funding for $6,000 in their 2021 budget for this donation. The board is being asked to consider.
All right. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Rocco, can you poll the board?
Mr. Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dents,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer.
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Thank you. The township received an escrow release request for Metals USA LLC at 53 Middle Drive. The escrow release amount requested is $421,904.34. This is escrow release number 3. Based on Jones Engineering Associates, the work has been completed to their satisfaction and the amount is recommended for release.
All right. Is there any questions or a motion from board members?
I have no questions, but I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Mr. Rocco?
Mr. Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dent,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
I'm a yes.
The last item I have for the board is we received a request from Trendis Cuthbertson to be appointed to the Community and Economic Development Committee. Mr. Cuthbertson is currently the owner and operator of the Falls Catering Hall on MY Lane.
All right. I have a few I was going to make during my comment, if I can do that, Mr. Takita, rather than do it now. Is that all right?
Certainly.
Okay.
I have nothing else.
That takes us to board comment. Mr. Boraski.
Sure. I'll use my time just to follow up to Mr. Takita's last item there. In our packets is always, residents requesting. Is that me?
No, that was my Mac.
Residents, they just put letters of interest in for some of our boards. At the time, we may not even have had openings. Currently, we still may not have openings, but, we are going to be hopefully advertising for an alternate, say, on a planning commission. So I just kind of wondered where we were. Like, is this something as a board or a board member we should be trying to go back to these people? Some of them, it's been 3 years. Like, there's 2 people for planning commission. I was just looking through it tonight. Their emails are from 3 years ago. At the time, we didn't have any openings, kind of like, it's a thick packet. I was just wondering if it's something we can have Rose work on, or as a board. I mean, it might be a lot of time to go through and try to get back to these people. It might be easier to have maybe a general email written and have the manager's office kind of send it out and see if there's any interest still. Just kind of want to get your feelings from you guys, see what you thought.
I think it makes sense. Refresh the
It's not a
list.
bad idea. I mean, we lost 1.5 years with COVID as, alone. So.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
So Matt, do you think we can have maybe Rose draft a general note, maybe from the Board of Supervisors or the chairman, and maybe go back through this packet that's in our, that we just received. It's pretty thick, and send an email to every one of these people and see if they're still interested in being on any of our boards or commissions.
Yes, we can definitely do that.
All right. That's all I had. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Mr. Rocco?
No, I mean, just, tomorrow's election day, and 2 of my current sitting board members are running, so best of luck to you guys. Other than that, great meeting.
All right, Mr. Palmer?
Yes, kind of going with Jeff Braski's theme. Going back through the minutes, that's why when you guys were going through the approval, I noticed there was a mistake that I believe was made, and then I wanted to go back to it if possible. When we appointed Leon Thompson to the Neighborhood Traffic Advisory Board, I thought it was a 5-0 vote. It says here it was a 4-1, and Mr. Dent voted no. I wasn't sure if that was correct.
No, that wasn't correct. I missed that. Thank you.
Other than that, get out and vote, everybody, and have a good night.
Mr. Galloway?
No comments tonight.
All right. I was going to make a motion to appoint Trendis Cuthbertson to the CEDC. I've spoken to Mr. Takita several times and him as well about this. So I'm going to make that motion if someone would second it.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. And then I think, sending out an email is a good idea, because some of these are quite a few years old. That's all I have. And so with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.